Thank you for tuning in to Mr. Cliff's Toy Shop. On today's review, we take a look at the Mezco Popeye. Today, I'll be reviewing this figure in 6 categories: accessories, articulation, design, is it essential to your collection, functionality, and price. Once all scores are totaled, I'll give you my opinion if this figure is a pass or a purchase. So Popeye comes with a number of accessories. I'll work my way from the outside in. So starting to the left, we have a display base along with the stand. I normally don't spend much time focusing on those things. So looking at the rest of the accessories, we can see Popeye comes with 2 head scopes. Both of the scopes are very similar. Let's see if I could. This one here has a opening in the mouth to where you can put in one of the 6 pipes that he comes with. Popeye also comes with 7 hands. Popeye comes with 7 hands. 2 fisted hands are already on the figure itself. And he comes with 3 hats, and I really like each of the hats a lot. So for me, the beanie or Scully may be my favorite. He comes with 2 cans of spinach. Both cans look great. Comes with 6 pipes. Yes, count them, 6 pipes. The 3 up top do have a smoke effect, which can be ported in any of the other pipes. Wait, you know what? I'm making an assumption. Let's see if that's actually true. Okay, that is not true. I'm glad that I checked it out. So the smoke effect, which I really, really like a lot. Hope it's coming through pretty clear on this camera. Maybe if I angle the light a bit here. So you receive 3 with the smoke effect, and you receive 3 without the smoke effect. You receive a compass, which has some details on the outside. It's made of a soft plastic, just in case if you were wondering if it was die cast. And you also get some legible information on the inside. Popeye also comes with a monocular. Comes with a coat. I really like the buttons on the outside of the coat. And Popeye, last but not least, comes with a duffel bag. So for accessories, I am truly impressed with what we receive with Popeye. Other than an alternate costume, I can't think of anything else that this figure should have came with. So with the 2 cans of spinach, I feel that they should have continued the theme on the open can. It's just an old rusted looking can. And this is definitely not a complaint, simply an observation. Also, I really like to have additional head sculpts. However, from what I can tell, these 2 head sculpts are identical. Both eyes are closed on the left side. Really have the same grimace. Both eyes are open on the right side. The only difference that I can tell is it appears with this one, the teeth are painted, to whereas this one, it's flesh tone. There is a hole so that the pipe can actually go through. So I would have liked some added variety to the head sculpts that we receive. Man, do I like these hands. Not only do I like the flesh tone, the wrinkles throughout the skin, but it's the dirt and the nails. Something so simple, however, it adds so much detail to this entire figure. Although we receive 2 head sculpts that, in my opinion, are the same scope, we do receive 3 hats. And each of those hats gives Popeye a different look. So for accessories, I'm going to have to give Popeye a 10 out of a 10. 10 out of a 10. 10 out of 10. So for articulation, the head and the neck move independent of each other, which I love because it gives you added range of movement. So the neck is able to move side to side as well as a little bit back and forth. And you get a small amount of rotation. The head itself is able to look up that far. Push the neck back a little bit, it's able to look up a lot higher. It's able to look this much down, push the neck forward, and is able to look even more. You get rotation, great amount of pivot, especially if you use the neck. So the arm is able to extend about that high. So with the torso, the upper part moves independent of the lower part. So you're able to push back that much, forward this much, get a decent amount of pivot as well as rotation. Using both the upper and lower torso, Popeye is able to crunch back about that much forward, and there is rotation at the waist. Almost forgot to mention with the arms, there doesn't appear to be an upper bicep swivel. I could be wrong. It feels like one is here. However, I'm drastically trying to move it and it does not move. So I'm going to assume that there's no upper bicep swivel here. If it is, mine is restricted by the clothing and extremely tight. You get a double jointed elbow, which is restricted by the clothes. You could actually move it up some or take it off. You do get rotation at the elbow. The wrist is able to hinge up and down as well as left and right. So the legs are able to extend that much out, that much backwards. You get rotation at the upper joint. No mid or lower. Knees are double jointed. He can only almost kick himself in the butt. Get rotation at the boot. The boot is able to lift up about that much. Well, actually, that was an exaggeration. So the boot is able to look up, move up barely any, down really not much at all. And it doesn't appear to be a great amount of pivot here. Yeah, it's barely any pivot. So for articulation, Popeye does what you need him to do. He does have some limitation above the elbow and below the knee. So for articulation, I'm going to give Popeye an 8 out of 10. So I have a love and hate relationship with Mezco's own personal interpretation on action figures. Sometimes for me, it's excessive and it's distracting. This time around, I don't see any of those things. There are parts of Popeye outfit that's dirty and gritty, as it should be for a man who's in his type of profession. The clothes seem to match the time to where Popeye comes from, and the stitching, which is usually very visible and clunky on a lot of Mezco figures, is pretty well hidden. The flesh tone looks great. There's small pixels throughout the skin tone, as well as, I don't know how to describe it, but Mezco found a way to make the skin look as if it's aged. Which brings me to a question. Exactly how old is Popeye supposed to be? So for design, I want to give Popeye a 10 out of 10. However, I'm going to give him a 9 due to the unsightly pegs within the wrist. Is Popeye essential to your collection? I'm not really sure where I stand on this. First, you have to decide, do you consider Popeye an action figure? Or better yet, have you ever owned any Popeye toys? I remember the cartoon being part of my childhood. I even recall the movie. But I don't recall actually owning any Popeye figures. So now back to the essential question. Is he essential to your collection? That really depends, and I know that's something that I say often, but will he be a stand-alone figure? Meaning, will we get Bluto and will we get Olive? Neither one of those figures have been hinted at the moment by Mezco. So as it stands, Popeye may be the only one-off in that line. If he turns out to be the only figure, I won't lie, for me, he'll feel a bit incomplete. So not knowing what other characters that may come along with this particular line, I have to think that he may not be that essential. So I'm going to play it safe and give Popeye a 5 out of 10. So for functionality, Mezco truly did an extraordinary job with this particular figure. So let's start with the head. So when it comes to the three hats or caps or whatever you may call them that come with Popeye, once you put them on, they're actually locked into place. The reason that they're locked into place is there is a magnet within his head, so the hat is able to sit without falling, meaning you can put Popeye in any pose and this hat will still stay on him. But it doesn't stop just there with the head. The fact that you could actually port in this very small and delicate pipe is also a great job that was done by Mezco. So if there's one thing that I do not like and often complain about in my videos, is that these companies make interchangeable hands, however, keep the pegs on the arms instead of within the hands themselves. However, I have no complaints with this particular figure, as this peg is huge. It makes it very simple to attach any of his hands. Very easy, just like so. Continuing on, if you look closely, you will notice with Popeye boots that they are not one piece. It's actually two separate pieces. Hopefully in the video, you can see the upper portions moving ever so slightly. So now you get the range of movement with the upper part, which moves independently, from the bottom part. So that's a great job that's done by Mezco. So often with action figures, you receive hands that are made, one hand that's made for numerous function, to hold guns, to hold knives, and they always don't fit that well. However, Mezco hands were made for specific items, such as this hand holding this can of spinach, and it fits just great. It looks like he's actually putting or bending the can as he's holding it, but it doesn't stop there. With the accessories continuing with his duffel bag, there's actually a drawstring. I wish that the string was a bit longer, but nevertheless, it works well. While moving the string, it accidentally came out of one of the holes. I thought I was going to have a hard time putting it back, and it was relatively easy. I'm very happy with the soft goods. A piece of Velcro holds the jacket together, which it should be. This way you don't have to worry about the buttons, or if it had a zipper, the zipper possibly falling off. So I like this very much. Also, the compass is able to open and close. At the moment, I believe it fell and it's lost somewhere where all small parts go. So for functionality, I'm going to give Popeye a 10 out of 10. So for pricing, Popeye comes priced in at $80, which is usually the standard for Mezco figures. Throwing shipping from the online retailer that I was expected to purchase to, that would have brought the price to $84. However, everyone else seemed to be receiving their Popeyes, and I grew impatient. Ended up walking to my local comic shop, and I was able to find it. And I think I paid maybe around $88 for it. So is he worth the price? So let's start with, first of all, if you have not pre-ordered your Popeye, then you are in trouble, as he is rising in price. I've been checking on eBay. He is upwards of $100. So that's about a 20% increase within a week of him arriving at certain places. Secondly, I'm not sure how I feel about this. I'm not sure how I feel about these words coming out of my mouth, that one of the figures that I've been waiting for all year was not from DC. It was not from Dragon Ball. It was not from Naruto. It was not from DC. It was Popeye. I've been waiting for this guy since Mezco first teased them. And if you know anything about Mezco, from the moment they show you something, typically it takes a long time before we actually get the figure in hand. Putting those things aside, let's take a look at the complaints. I don't have any complaints. I have some things that I feel that they could have improved upon or changed. For example, the two head sculpts, I would have liked to have one head sculpt that was wildly different from the first one. Maybe one with an open mouth as if he was awaiting to eat the spinach. I would have liked to have butterfly joints on his figure. I would have liked to have more movement within his upper arms. But even without any of those things, I am so happy with the product that I have before me. He comes with so many accessories that it almost feels like the two similar head sculpts or more. 3 interchangeable hats, a jacket. You can actually remove the shirt that he has on. I will not. It's very hard for me to put on soft goods, and I do not want to take the time to do that because this will be a very long video. More than the design, more than the articulation, more than the accessories, I am extremely impressed with the functionality of this figure. Mezco really delivered on this, and it's one of the best action figures that I've had in hand all year. So is Popeye a pass or a purchase? He is an absolute purchase. Even though 80 bucks is not small change for a 6-inch action figure, in my opinion, he was worth every dollar, and I'm going to give Popeye a 10 out of 10 for pricing. That would give Popeye a cliff score of 53 out of 60. Here's Popeye next to Marvel's Legend Sabretooth. And here's Popeye next to Marvel Legends Wolverine. So thank you for tuning in to Mr. Cliff's Toy Shop, and I hope to see you during the next review.